This week on Invest and Trade Africa, how Angola has become such a powerful player in Southern Africa's energy market. Plus, Angola's downstream market is currently in the midst of a major transformation.
Faço carinho pra quem não merece, que o pai é meu bem, não esquece. Carinho pra quem não merece.
Welcome to Angola, an emerging oil and gas energy hub of Southern Africa. This beautiful and rapidly growing nation has become an essential part of many energy projects and investment opportunities throughout Southern Africa. Thanks to its strategic geographical position and plenty of natural resources, it's no surprise at all that Angola is now considered a key player in the energy sector.
As one of the top producers of crude oil in Africa, Angola produces more than 1 million barrels per day, with some 10 billion barrels in reserves, making it traditional leaders within the sector on the continent.
But this success didn't happen overnight. In recent years, Angola's government recognized that its status as an important natural resource producer had to be improved by modernizing the industry around best practices during exploration operations. Today, I'm meeting up the Minister of Mineral Resources, Petroleum and Gas of Angola, His Excellency Diamantino Azevedo. Azevedo is a thought leader and championing many of the success stories coming out of Angola's oil and gas sector.
You know, everywhere I turn to, every research I've done, questions I've asked, one thing is significant: Angola's energy policy. Tell me, how has the country been able to pull this off?
As you know, in 2017, the known president was inaugurated his first term that was finished after 5 years, and last year he started his second term. And since the first term, we realized that we need to do some changes in the governance model of the oil sector and also review the legislation and some regulation, so we could increase the investment in the sector. And we did so by creating a working group together with the oil industry, and we did some change in the law by introducing some new regulations. We changed the model of governance of the oil sector by separating the roles that our national company was responsible for. Since our national oil company, a part of being one oil company, was also exercising the rules as a concessionaire and also regulator. We introduced two new bodies: the National Petroleum Agency, that is now the regulator and concessionaire for upstream, and the Institute for the Downstream, that is in charge as regulator for the downstream. This change in the law and in the model has attracted more investment for the oil sector. And we start also with a strategy for exploration. Since in the last years we are not too dynamic in exploration, and we did the strategy for exploration. We did also a new strategy for licitation of new blocks, and we introduced a new regulation that facilitates also direct negotiation for companies interested in developing blocks in the oil industry of Angola.
The country is really ramping up its investment in the hydrocarbon sector and also diversifying its oil value chain. What should we be looking out for?
We are exploring our oil. We are producing more than 1 million barrels per day of oil, but we continue to import 80% of our needs on the derivatives of oil. We have only one refinery that was built in 1952 and just covers 20% of our needs. We established also a strategy on the downstream industry, and that strategy starts by upgrading the existing refinery that is here in Luanda and produce 60,000 barrels of oil per day. We upgraded that refinery that produce now more gasoline, and we reduced the production of naphtha and heavy oil. We also reduced the flaring. And then we start the construction of a 60,000 barrels per day refinery in Cabinda. Then we also start the construction of 100,000 barrels per day refinery in Soyo. And we restart the construction of the Lobito refinery that has a capacity of 200,000 barrels per day. When we accomplish all that refineries, we'll be self-sufficient in the production of diesel, gasoline, jet A1, and also have additional production that we can export to the neighbor countries. Namely, the Lobito refinery is well located for us to export for countries like RDC and Zambia, since we have the Benguela Railway that goes till RDC, and we are working with the Zambian government also to have the railway going directly to Zambia. There is a port there, so we have all the conditions there in Lobito for the Lobito refinery. And a part of the refineries, we also are constructing or enhance our storage capacity, because it's still now a handicap for us since we don't have enough storage facility in the country. But with the terminal, we are constructing here just a few kilometers north from Luanda, with a capacity of 580,000 cubic meters. We'll have enough capacity in the country in onshore. We are also involved in green hydrogen project, in solar energy project, and also ammonia and urea plant is being constructed in Soyo province. We are also further developing studies to have also next to the refineries a petrochemical industry.
Minister, you were taking regional collaboration ties very seriously, and I see that as part of your expansion initiative. What kind of cooperation agreements does the country have presently in Africa?
We have several agreements, but not always having agreements is the most important, because sometimes we sign agreements, but we don't exercise anything. But I can remember, for example, I forgot to say that one of the laws we approved in the last mandate of President João Lourenço was the local content law. For that, we become assistants for Nigeria. I talked to my counterpart in Nigeria, and he sent to us one expert on local content that helping us also on that issue. We have also signed agreement with Zambia to study ways of cooperation, namely investments in downstream, possibility of Zambia to invest also in our Lubito Refinery, also for us, both countries, to study the possibility of a pipeline connecting the Lubito Refinery with the facilities in Zambia. We are discussing also with Namibia how we can work together in the different segments of the oil industry. We have a very good cooperation with Algeria in terms of training, capacity training for Angolan youth. We benefit from the experience of Algeria for some years already. We also have cooperation with some other countries. But the most interesting is that we really start implementing all these agreements we have signed.
So are there government incentives to attracting foreign direct investment?
The most important incentive we have is our law, the oil law, that is a very good law. And but the really most important is the stability of contracts. And Angola is being a country that always, when we sign a contract, we also fulfill the contract. And I think that is the most important incentive for investment in the oil industry, because the period of the oil projects are very long, and the investors, they need stability. That is the most important incentive. Apart of that, we have also a good fiscal regime and also exchange regime. And we are flexible. When needed, we are ready to discuss with our partners and find the best solution, always in a win-win manner.
What separates Angola from other rich resource nations on the continent is the government's ongoing commitment to creating investment-friendly policies and fiscal terms in ensuring investors reap the highest rewards.
A dedication to improving the country's refining capacity is also on the table. This has created opportunities across distribution, manufacturing, and retail sectors, with even further prospects of integrating oil and gas with subsectors, such as mining and agriculture, making a stronger case for investment. More on Angola's refining prospects and investment opportunities in a moment.
Nigeria's oil and gas sector has come a long way since the establishment of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, in 2010. NCDMB is a regulatory agency of the Nigerian government that oversees the implementation of the Nigerian Content Act in the oil and gas industry. The Act aims to promote local participation and capacity building in the sector. The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, led by the Executive Secretary, Engineer Simbi Wabote, has been pivotal in driving the growth of local content development in the sector.
Before the enactment of the Act, all production activities were in the hands of international operating companies.
The board has implemented policies and initiatives that have helped to grow local content in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. These policies have included the promotion of local ownership of companies, the use of local goods and services, the development of local expertise and capacity, and investment in research and technology. As a result of these policies, Nigeria's oil and gas sector recorded significant growth in local content to 54% in 2022, making it a leader in the industry in Africa. Other African countries, including Angola, Ghana, Senegal, and Mozambique, have since followed Nigeria's blueprint in promoting local content in their oil and gas sectors. With continued commitment to local content development, Nigeria is poised to maintain its local content leadership position in Africa for years to come. NCDMB, building local capacities in the Nigerian oil and gas industry.
In recent years, Angola has become such an attractive investment, offering opportunities in sectors such as infrastructure, agriculture, and real estate. And with 8.2 billion barrels of its own oil reserves, there is a strong case for both the upgrade of current facilities and for the construction of new refineries countrywide.
Our refining strategy is also helping us to move in this direction because we are an oil and gas country where most of our refined products are imported. And we have defined together with the country politics to move in a way that we could leave this dependency from imports. We are importing almost 80% of it, and it's important that we can, with our capacity to produce oil and gas, to start also giving some independence and some opportunity, not only for our own consumption, but also to send abroad to our brother countries. And we have the possibility to look at the potential of consumption in the areas in our countries that are neighbors, like DRC, Zambia. We have also even South Africa, Namibia, and looking at the amount of money that we spend in sending oil, sending our own currency to get refined products does justify that we should build some refining capacity in Angola.
And what's the timeline for the completion of these refineries for Cabinda, Lobito, and Soyo?
We have Cabinda, Lobito, and Soyo, but in 2022, we increased our capacity for producing of gasoline by 1.2 thousand tons a day, and this is helping to reduce the imports of these products. And it was done here in Luanda, our refinery in Luanda. But looking at Soyo, we have this one taking place in 2025. But Cabinda is the closest one. By end of this fourth quarter of 2023, we might start testing and making commissioning on this refining in Cabinda. And then we still have the Lobito refinery, which is supposed to start being commissioned sometime in 2027. So we feel that with that we might reach something like 4,000, 25,000 barrels a day of refining capacity. And looking at what we have to consume, the remaining will be then sent abroad. I think that we might be in a position to feel that we can support our region and also our economy.
So what does Senegal see for its business going forward?
As you know, the world is moving towards that climate change move, and we cannot live without it. But our strategy is that we take as much as our revenues from the oil and gas on the upstream sector, always with the concept of all our developments must have and take into account the net zero carbon emission to make sure that we use that revenue capacity to start also investing into the other areas. We are also moving into areas like the green hydrogen. We're looking at it. It's a good opportunity. We are looking at biofuels. We are also doing something in the photovoltaic.
Yes.
Currently, we are
I
in
look
partnership
forward
with
to
that.
go and see
You
that
shall have the
project.
opportunity to go to Namib to see our investment
Exactly.
there. Then we will have also the one in Huila, Lubango, where we also have the opportunity. And there is a discussion to move in order to get a much bigger photovoltaic projects to move together. But the most ones that we cannot live without is the upstream sector, where we have to invest,
Exactly.
use those revenues,
And invest.
invest into the. But we are sure that our current portfolio of projects, they covers almost all areas of the value chain of the upstream sector, downstream, refining, and the trading. Currently, we are in a short time period to finish our Suezmax
Okay.
oil tanker, which is going to be built is being built in South Korea. The naming ceremony is taking place in April 10th. We are also into the support services like the helicopters. We are building 2 of those in Italy to support our new business unit, also linked with the Sonair. And we feel that we are very well established into the entire value chain,
I see.
using all the ability that we get from our portfolio. We are very proud of it.
Indeed. So how is Senegal ensuring sustainability?
How do we ensure sustainability? First of all, we should make sure that the projects that we select are suitable to make some funds to be profitable for us. The other ones, we should take into account the current responsibility related with the environment. We must be friends of our neighbors, our stakeholders, and we must select the entire list of projects that can allow us to continue the activity of our company. Last year we had a profit of around 2.1 billion. This year we are also in the range, not even taking into account the amount of investment, we close to $1 billion this year. Okay. So we feel that this sustainability must be linked with the level and the quality of investments that we make in our activity into the entire value chain of the oil and gas and the renewables activities. We are not just saying, we are doing.
The strength and attractiveness of Angola as an investment destination extends beyond its upstream market, with the country's renewed focus on downstream developments and its value chain, setting up opportunities in country and a wider South African energy region.
Overall, the Angolan government is targeting the production of 450,000 barrels per day locally, prioritizing meeting domestic demands, not to forget the vision of being a regional superpower in refined products.
Whereas Lobito and Soyo are very important projects downstream. But right now, all eyes are on Cabinda to ensure that the 60,000 barrels per day refinery is completed as scheduled.
So what kind of refinery is this?
This is a topping refinery.
Okay.
It's a simple refinery for the phase one. We will then progress to a complex refinery
Okay.
on phase three. We will start with a 30,000 barrels production, and then we will reach 60,000 barrels production on phase three.
When are
then
you looking at completion?
For phase one, we are looking at mechanical completion at the end of 2023. Yes, the overall project will end by 2026.
2026. So, is there any specific, what makes this refinery stand out?
Well, this refinery, the first stage of the refinery, will look for produce the products that are not that much value on the value chain of refined products. It will produce only gas oil, diesel, naphtha, Jet A1, and HFO. Most of the production will be HFO. On the further stages, we will then reach gasoline and LPG, which will add more value to the refinery and the region.
So you're using some modern kind of technology?
Yes, for the further stages, we will have the most advanced technology that aims mainly environmental sustainability. And now we are using a modular technology that makes the construction time shorter than a standard technology of construction.
So how's it been so far? I mean, what's been the project like? You've been working on this for how long now?
Well, this has been an amazing experience. This is an endeavor that we are experiencing for the first time in Angola, and it's been great to be involved in a project of this magnitude.
So what's the level of expatriates and locals that are being?
Yes, for sure. It's one of our main goals to have as much local content as possible. When we mention local content, we are not referring only on manpower for the construction, but also use local companies to support the construction activities of the project. We currently have 92% of local content in this project. The units were fabricated in Houston, Texas, because this is a very skilled labor and a very sensitive technology. But all the work that you've been seeing so far have been performed mainly by nationals.
So there you have it, an impressive example of how industry prowess can be strategically harnessed for long-term success. Angola's energy industry is more attractive than ever, offering lucrative opportunities for project developers and financiers alike.
Thanks for watching. You can keep up with Invest and Trade Africa on all our social channels.